Mate, you top scored as well in the Content Creators Cup, which I'm sure we'll get to. But
I don't think I did. I thought junk time.
Yeah, by a point. No, you're going by a point.
There's a late adjustment. Come on, baby! Get me back! Fuck, those 66 points would be nice.
What's 66?
1 point, 25. Anyway. We got the boys. Are they...
don't think they're here just yet. I'll send them like an invite via the DM here. There, so just send that there, and then
wow, fucking big scores though. It didn't really move much.
That's what I mean. We'll get into it.
Yeah, I won't
give.
But anyway, we'll talk.
A lot of people scored well, but we'll get into it when the boys jump on. But it was good I saw an article just then on the AFL website saying something about the Crows can wreak havoc in the finals. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, it's
a big game this week against the Bombers at Marvel. 2 teams around the top 8. How's that goal from Houston as well, by the way?
Yeah, it was fantastic, though. I mean, he's a great kid. The moment he took the mark, he looked confident. It was bloody awesome, though.
It's funny, Andy. I know Andy Marr put out a tweet. He's just like, from your team, who would make that kick from 55? And I can think of 4 Adelaide players that would make that kick.
From Richmond. I mean, from my club would probably be I think definitely a Shannon Hearn. You'd think, but.
Well, I think the Crows have got 4. I think it'd be Dawson, Brodie Smith, Taylor Walker, and Darcy Fogarty. I think could all potentially make that kick. Whether they kick it or not, it's obviously different question. But
hey, just on something else that's worthwhile bringing up. How shit a Freo?
Mate, that's funny.
I'm gonna love getting into my Freo friends this week.
Yeah, just don't know where the boys are. Don't know if they've messaged me at all. Don't think they have, but bear with us, guys, when boys join us. Actually, what I'll do, I might play the music.
Yeah, just
does that? No, I was just going to say does it play the music?
Oh, I don't think so. Because I'm still
because
it stops even when I unmute myself once you've added me as a co-host.
Yeah.
Thank God I won't do what Millet does on the break-even pod. I won't sing for everyone. Fucking hell.
You sure you don't want to sing, Tim?
No. I'm sure everyone else doesn't want me to sing.
Oh, that's funny. Just have a look, see if anyone's messaged us here. We appreciate everyone that's jumping on YouTube.
conference call kind of thing, right? So, I mean, maybe desktop gives the ability for bots and I don't know, all this shit. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just sent JD a request.
Oh yeah, JD's
so
on, yeah, and then
I don't see Jords up at the moment, but
is that
he'll probably be getting the phone. And,
isn't it Jack? No.
Jackson, yeah, JD here. We're just waiting on Jords.
Yeah,
I think he's just probably just going to be getting his phone.
Sweet.
Beautiful. I think we've got JD on. JD, there, mate?
Test. Can you hear me, Bath?
Yeah, mate. We got you, mate. How you doing?
Oh, very very well, thank you. It's weird to be joining on a mobile phone rather than on a desktop, I must say. So hopefully I sound all right. I've never really had to test this setup before, and apologies for being such a spaces noob.
Mate,
that's all good, man. That was probably my fault. I probably should have messaged you and said that, like, if you haven't used it before, I don't know why it doesn't come. You can't use anything but your phone, but yeah. So unfortunately, but
we'll tweet Elon and ask him. All right.
Yeah, good luck with that. I think he's probably got enough fan mail this weekend.
All right. And have we got Jords yet?
Don't think so. Oh, here he is.
There he is.
Yeah.
All right.
Just
awesome.
Just the invite here, so we're just about to get underway.
So
guys.
just JD, just watch that keyboard sound as well in the background, mate. At the mic.
Oh yikes! Yeah, this is all the stuff that on my regular setup would be completely fine, but yeah, I might have to be quick on the mute. We'll see how we go.
It's all good, mate. It's all good. Are you using like wired headphones, not wireless or anything like that?
No, it's wireless. Yeah, wired headphones. What is this, like 2018? Come on.
Yeah, so that's I know, but that's the thing with Twitter Spaces though. You're actually better off using shitty Apple fucking wired headphones. It just gives a much clearer sound than anything wireless.
I'm in, boys. No, I've got the wired headphones. I'm pretty happy with them. So
yeah,
I know what you're upset about, JD.
How you doing, George? You all right?
Yeah, good. How are you, boys?
Yeah, good, mate. Good.
All right, we're all out.
Beautiful. Well, yep, beautiful. Well, we'll get the show on the road anyway.
Awesome. All right, give me 2 secs. Let's do some blank air, and then we'll get started. Hello and welcome everyone to the AFL Fantasy Fanatics Round Review. We are recording live on Twitter and YouTube, actually, on Sunday, the 2nd of July, after the completion of round 16 of the AFL Fantasy season. It is a massive round, and there's been some massive scores, with it looks like par being about 2,500, maybe even higher. And being the first round after the buys, we might just find out who's been swimming naked. So I am your host and AFL Fantasy Fanatic, Tim Guest, and you can find me on Twitter at TimGuestAU. And joining me, as always, is my co-host and legend of a bloke, Bales DT. Bales, mate, how you feeling after the first round of the buys? Are you currently standing there in your birthday suit or proudly displaying your best board shorts, mate?
Yeah, g'day, Tim. I'm probably treading water, so not awful, but I didn't think I'd feel as underwhelmed with a 24-28 as I have, but seeing all these 2,500 plus scores, it sort of I don't think I've ever hit 2,500 in fantasy before. It would have been good to have actually finally done it, but a couple of people let me down, so we'll obviously get into that. But round rank of 16,961. That put me down about just under, so about 550 odd spots. So not an awful slide for a week where I probably was a little bit underwhelmed with what I could have done. So, plus and -3. My plus 3, I've probably got to give it to 2 guys here. I couldn't quite split these two. So, Ben Keys was one. I brought him in, I think, was it round 15 for the Collingwood game? A bit nervous about that day cost potential tag, but he did solid last week and then backed it up this week with 132 points. Only one CBA as well. We'll probably maybe discuss that a bit more when we get into the Crows game, but very happy with that. And then the other one was Brad Crouch with 137 in that final game, bringing him in last week. Wasn't sort of 100% sold on him and sort of what he could do. I thought he was maybe close to 105, maybe a little bit less, but the last couple of weeks he's shown that if he keeps going like this, he could easily be that top 8 midfielder that I was looking for. So very happy with him. A -3, Darcy Cameron's a very lucky man that my -3 is going to someone else except him because he wasn't very good. But unfortunately, my -3 is my boy. I can't escape it, and he's not my boy at the moment. Rory Laird, captain in with 85. Watching that game after quarter time, he just didn't really look too interested in getting involved. There was a few times as well where he could have had a few points here and there, just didn't quite work out for him. So, a bit disappointed. No, he's still my boy, but just very disappointed with him. So, not sure if he's going to be my captain this week. But, that's how I went, Tim. So, not too bad, but a little bit underwhelming.
All right, mate. All right. Well, let's turn to our guests. As always, we've got some bloody legend guests on. We have joining us from Fantasy Take TV. Now, you might not be too familiar with Fantasy Take TV. They actually do some shows around a bit more super coach, but the boys also do get very involved in fantasy. And JD, who's our first guest, actually, I don't know. Bales was telling me you're currently 47th, mate, but was that before the beginning of the round or is that now?
That's I'm 48th now. I was 26th at the start of the round, but just like Twitter, I got rate limited this week and scored just the 24.54, which dropped me those 22 spots. Unfortunately, I was in Bale's boat and had Rory Laird captain. I was umming and ahhing between him and Marshall, and to lose, I don't know, near 50 points on your captain choice always hurts, but that's the name of the game sometimes. So, this is my second year playing fantasy. I'm primarily a super coach player over on YouTube, but last year got a hat. This year, hopefully we'll go back to back.
So you got a hat last year, and I was going to ask, how are you finding playing the better fantasy game?
So it's very good at this time of the year where you still got trades, and I must say, I think going from Supercoach to this format, it lends itself very well because we have to hunt value, but we have to hunt it for the whole year. And so you get to be a little bit more free with your choices this year, knowing you've got 2 trades each week, and it allows you to go some different players a little bit outside the box. So, that's where starting your hunts and stuff come into play. So, enjoying it though, enjoying having something to do and just being able to think a little bit differently.
And clearly it's translating pretty well.
Yeah, not too bad. Doing the reverse Selby, I guess. Just got to chalk up some wins now. So, +3, -3, and then I'll hand over to Jords, I guess. So, -3, well, if you've taken lead, I guess I'll go DC then. Bales, the 58, just not good enough, especially when I see others that have got keys at that spot putting 70 on my head this week. And the +3, I don't know. How about I give it to Neil, who I brought in a few weeks ago. It's been really, really strong and a bit unique, although I think that's started to close up. So I've enjoyed watching him.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's turn to one of your fellow members of Fantasy Take TV, which is Jords, mate. Jords, how'd you go this week?
I heard you say before par was 2,500, and that did spook me a little bit. But this week went 2,361. Not a lot went right. I think I also had the Laird captain. I did accidentally put the emergency on my utility spot, which meant I couldn't loop Sheldrick. So I got Chester's score by accident over Sheldrick. I've played fantasy for 3 years, and I've never done that before, so I didn't know that could happen. But that's okay. 30 points.
Very good representation for the brand. First ever crossover.
I made an absolute disaster of a mistake last week. I had a player on the bench without an emergency on it for my loophole. For my captain loophole.
We did used to call that the mini monk. Now we're calling it the guestie.
Love it. It's not Bales the buyer now. Guestie's got a name as well.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So that was your. Sorry, mate. I actually lost track. Did you do your +and -3?
I'll do that. So I think the 2 Saints boys. So Brad Crouch is probably carrying the other one in Jack Steele at the moment. So happy with the Crouch in a few weeks ago, but I think I had 900k from mid. Could have gone Bond. Could have gone Merritt. Could have gone Dawson. No, Jack Steele. So -3 for old Jack. But bit of a tough watch this year.
Yeah, he has been. Well, we'll get to talk about him a little bit later on because some people might be thinking about bringing him in still, or maybe not. Well, we'll find out. But turning to the Gerbils, so Guestie's Gerbils, had a big week. 25-23, top scored in the AFL Fantasy Content Creators Cup. And it didn't really move me much, though. I think I was about 1,069 or 1,060 something last week, and I'm 969 this week. So I moved up 100 spots back inside the top 1,000. But I think, obviously with some big rookie scores and loopholing and stuff like that this week, it meant that it was kind of really hard to get ahead of the pack in any way, shape or form. But I'll give my +3 to Dacos. Look, I mean, he's just kind of been sitting back there at D2 and we've kind of forgotten about him, but out he comes and smashes a big 150. So, great work from him. And my -3, I mean, for me, it was, I think, was it Jords or JD gave it to DC Darcy Cameron before 58. Just particularly when like you said, Keys. Some people have got Keys sitting in that position. That really kind of hurt. But as he's already kind of given him the -3, I'll give it to. Why not give it to Timmy Taranto? Let's give him a little bit of a rocket. Hey, a bit of a dud performance from the TT. Now off the ton run. So, but I'm sure he'll bounce back. I could have given it to Dunks, but with his calf injury, we'll have to see what's going on there. But yeah, I think that takes it for the teams in the plus and -3. Let's turn our attention to the AFL Fantasy Content Creators Cup. Proudly brought to you by Infinite Wealth, helping you reach your financial goals faster, where winning coaches will get $5,000 for their favourite charity. Reminder, there's something special for every coach available too, so head across to infinitewealth.com.au/AFL Fantasy to claim your free 5-module online learning program, the Fast Track to Freedom. I know there's been a couple hundred coaches that have taken advantage of it. And I know we've even heard about a couple of the podcasters talk about it, and they've been enjoying doing it. So get along and enjoy it as well. But I'm going to be doing a webinar for people in the next couple of weeks as well. So if you're interested to learn, how we teach people how to pay your mortgage off up to 3 times faster, how to save thousands on tax every year, or how to build your wealth and replace your income, then make sure you head along to infinitewealth.com.au/AFL Fantasy to register, and I'll send you an email in the next couple of weeks, let you know what's happening there. But from there, let's review the weekly results. So lockout has lifted, so I can actually review both the overall ladder and the seasonal ladder. So I'm going to quickly just do the top 8 for the overall ladder. Firstly, we got Nathan of the Overbalance from Hat Chat there. So all our top 8 coaches are now inside the top 4,000. So he's just above 3,500 there at 3,640. Louis has moved up into 7th now, I believe, at 3,293. Statesman was a pretty big mover, I think, this week. He did pretty well with his score of 2509, which moved him up to 3,271. And then Alex from Junk Time Janitors at the Break-Even Pod is just outside the top 3,000. So now we're into the top 4, and our top 4 is also inside the top 3,000. So Miller Time from Break-Even Pod, 2914. But then it's the top 3, which is Guesties, Gerbils, myself at 969, Sanchez, Snags, who once again pretty much stayed pretty near where he was last week at 703. And Mitch dropped back fractionally, maybe 20 spots or something like that, 25 spots to about 393. So that's how we're sitting there. But seasonally, because we are not only just doing prize money for overall rankings, but we are, to keep it interesting for all of the content creators as we get to the back end of the year, we are running a normal classic league. Mitch is still sitting at on top there. I'm second. Nathan from the Overmalts is a third. Statesman is fourth. Junk Time Janitors are fifth. Destroy, who dropped he had a bit of a bad round this round, old Destroy. But he still sits in sixth in the Classic League. Sanch is at seventh, and Miller Time is in eighth. So they are all the results.
And Bales is 19th.
I know, mate. And I was going to say, you had another pretty big week. Like you had a 24, what was it, 60 or something like that?
24, 28, yeah.
And you still got beat.
40 points. Luke had Himmelberg, Neil, and was it Sarong or someone all had their season high scores. So just the story
so I'm getting beaten by
story of my life,
getting beaten by Luke. What's going on, mate? We're getting beaten by these boys.
Mate, I can hear that One Direction song just playing over and over in my head, but just replacing life with season. So yeah.
All right, let's get into the games. Starting us off with our Thursday night game, Brisbane defeating Richmond by 81 points at the Gabba. Just remember, Dustin Martin was a late change, out with illness, replaced by Noah Cumberland. And then also just remember that Josh Dunkley was subbed out at three-quarter time with a calf complaint, although we don't really know too much about that yet. And Short was also subbed out in the second quarter with a hammy. So it could be some flow-on effects from there. And Archie was concussed, so probably won't see him next week.
Yeah, exactly right. And yeah, just the one probably thing with Dunkley, just keep a watch. They do play West Coast this week, so is that a chance for Brisbane to just say, "Hey, we're just going to be resting Dunkley"? I'm not sure. So just keep an eye and see if there's any issues, and maybe keep out for the injury reports. But yeah, he wasn't. He got subbed out at three-quarter time with 72, so not a huge score. And same with Taranto with an 80. So that would be disappointing. But hey, they're going to be top two forwards, so we're all fine with them. But JD, start with Lachie Neale. So you, as you said, you have him with 127. Do you still? What are your thoughts? Do you think he's going to be a top 8 mid? Do you think it's a trade take for those coaches that don't own him? What are your thoughts on him moving forward?
Oh, I don't know. He's there or thereabouts the top 8, but I don't think he's a lock, right? He's not someone that you have to have. I think you can probably find other people that'll sit in that spot. So I don't think he's a priority get in or anything like that. But he's been tracking along, very well the last kind of 4-ish weeks or so. And he should be, there or thereabouts the rest of the year. I guess the interesting thing is, obviously you're looking at the West Coast matchup this week, which is a pretty nice one. But very happy to have him, but I don't think he's a must-have in terms of looking at final top 8 mids.
Yeah. I've always seen him as just outside, but he just sort of continues to just get it done, and could even be a bit of a captain option this week or a VC option against the West Coast Eagles. But Tim, I want to ask you about this one. So Kitty Coleman got a 111. He's I think he's under 500. He might go back over 500, but is he any interest at all as a guy you're looking at, or are you just not going near it? He does have the Eagles, so is that a good match? But then again, we know defenders against the Eagles, it's probably not a good matchup.
Actually, I don't think that. I did hear someone say that a couple of weeks ago, and I went and checked. But big shout out actually to Mort over at DFS. So for those of you that don't use DFS Australia as a resource, you are absolutely mad. In terms of looking at defence versus positions, in terms of they have their own scale of hardness, let's call it, right? But they've got kind of more detailed breakdowns on different positions. And when you actually look at how defenders score against West Coast, they're actually a positive matchup. So I know the thinking that the ball's probably not down there, but when you actually look at the real life stats, they are actually typically a positive matchup. Although I don't know that played out so much this week, but it was a different game than normal. At the same time, yes, look, and Brisbane do have a good run for defenders. Obviously, there's been some destruction down back there as well, and some of their kind of older brigade not playing at the moment, so he's probably getting a little bit more of the ball. But
so 527 breaking 33.
Look, maybe someone would have jumped on him this week instead of a Himmelberg, but
last week for Doss. Yeah,
but I can't really see who's going to be bringing in a $500,000 defender at this particular point in the season. Maybe. But
it could. I guess it could be a play if people are maybe putting him on as a bench, as a loop, maybe because a few people might have all rookies off field. Maybe they're looking at a Johnson to him on the bench just as
you're not going to be having 500K on the bench. Maybe you've got 500K because you've got a Johnson on the bench, right? But but I don't see anyone bringing in someone for $500,000 to sit on their bench.
Yeah.
But look, it doesn't mean that he's not worth a look. I just think it's going to be tough for coaches to find a way to fit him into their side.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think he's a bit of an awkward price. If it was a few weeks earlier, it might have been a better option. But hey, he's still one that coaches may look at. Will Ashcroft, Jords, so another 95. Again, another good score at the Gabba. He's got the Eagles this week. Is he another hold for another week?
I traded him this week, unfortunately, but I think against the Eagles, I think you have to hold, especially if maybe they rest Dunkley or something. No, he looks really good. I guess it depends. If you feel like he's the worst one on your field, I think you can still flick him, but it does feel bad to trade him against West Coast. Only because it's West Coast, I think, I'd probably just hold it, mate. But he's one that I'd definitely be getting off the week after if you're in that position.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, apologies for asking him. I didn't realise you traded him out this week, but But yeah, but no, he keeps getting done. He's been solid this year. And Dusty wants another one, 87. I traded him this week, and yeah, he might have been a better one to maybe hold. But hey, I got a bit of cash and got Doherty, so I'm pretty happy with that. Jasper Fletcher got a 77 as well, so a downgrade option if coach want to pay up a little bit more for him. He looks pretty good there. Jaden Short, 25, he was subbed out. So just one maybe to put in your marker for next year because he's probably going to get defender status. I don't know exactly what the extent of the injury is, but he's going to be pretty cheap next year with that injured score. So something to put in your books for next year. And then also McCarthy did cop a suspension. So if anyone's got Kyle Lohman like myself out there, he may come back into Brisbane's side next week. So Tim, we'll move on to the Friday night game, which is a draw.
Yeah, Sydney drew with Geelong at the SCG. So probably the only thing to just be mindful of here is that Jack Bowes was a sub and came on in the final quarter.
Yep. Oh, sweet. Beautiful. That's a quick one there. So Goulden, 128. Probably don't need to add too much more with him because he just keeps getting it done. It's just fantastic. It's just actually, Tim, I'll ask you for this one. So this is for a bit of a look for this week. So Richmond have got Sydney on the Thursday night. Who are you putting as your VC? Goulden or Taranto?
Jesus, mate! You're asking VCs already. Like,
I know. I just want to get your quick take.
Let me bask in the glory of my mighty West Coast Eagles, and they're taking it to top 8, flag contenders St Kilda. All right.
Oh, no worries. I'll ask you that question on. Well, we can't do it Friday, but maybe get your thoughts during the week. But yeah.
But look, you got to consider him as a VC. That's for sure. And look, because he's an early VC option, you would also imagine that a lot of the competition might go there. And, for those coaches that are thinking about how potentially to get a way up on the competition, you might think about fading VCs on Thursdays and Friday nights because that's where a lot of the competition go. And, maybe try and pick someone else up. I mean, that's, that kind of worked for me this week. I avoided the Tim Taranto VC and waited for Jordan Dawson as my VC. Yeah, no, it's a very good point. You obviously got that little advantage there, and it would have been nice if I was talking about it, but I didn't back myself in. So, but such is fantasy there. Parker 107 got it done again. Tom Stewart had a big second half there with a 105. Angus Sheldrick, George. So a lot of people have got him emergency, and a few people still got him as F6. If coaches have still got that final rookie on field and it is a Sheldrick or something like that, are you happy just to sort of upgrade around him because of how well he's going, or would you still prefer to try and get that rookie off field and still use him as maybe that loop and you can bring him on whenever you need?
Well, Chad Warner's out with a calf, I believe they said several weeks, so he'll be out this week again. So I think it's a bit hard. What is he about pushing 500k now? It's pretty hard to get him all the way up to a meaningful premium. So I think you hold him and upgrade around him if you can't get him all the way up. But yeah, it'd feel like a waste to get rid of him now just because he's got so much more money to make. But no, he looks really good in there. A bit more inside mid-time. I think what was the CBA? I think it was 7 or 8 from memory. And it was like a low CBA game. So no, he looks really good. I'd definitely be holding him and trying to loop him with your worst premium in the forward or midfield if you can. Like a Jack Steele for me, for example.
This week's the perfect week to have him on your bench with the emergency on, and then wait to see what he scores on the Thursday night and then plan your trades around that. So if he's good enough to keep on field, then leave him as a rookie spot. If he's not, then upgrade someone else on field.
Yep, no, that's definitely a good point. Him playing Thursday night is very, very handy for all those coaches out there that either have got all rookies off field and can maybe, if he puts up a good score, can bench a mid-price guy or the worst scorer, or if he got that rookie on field, he might be that solution to just plugging that hole for another week. Mitch Duncan got an 86, so just again, he just sort of up, down, bit of like a yo-yo there. So I don't think too many coaches are as keen with him, and I think Geelong want to rest their older players on the run home. Callum Mills, JD, so 85. I'm not sure exactly if you would be in the position to maybe look at Mills just because you're sort of higher. I don't know if you've got your rookies all off field, but for those coaches maybe wanting to maybe get a value premium if they got that final rookie on field, what are your thoughts on Callum Mills?
Yo put me back a week, so I'm still looking at one spot, and that's where I've got Sheldrick at the moment. So yeah, Mills is an interesting one. I saw the same thing out of him this week that we kind of saw last week, which was he started well and then faded as the game went on, and I'm not sure if that's a function of just, where he's at with his conditioning kind of after coming back from injury, or what's going on there? I mean, I know the other week he got rested and all that type of stuff, but we kind of saw it again in this game. So, yeah, look, as a cheap option, I think he's priced at, around 75 now. So if you're still looking for value to upgrade your side, it seems like a bit of a no-brainer. But I also don't think he'll be top 8 from now. So it's almost like a bit of a stepping stone, I think, and then someone that you might luxury upgrade in the last 5-6 weeks of the year.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it'd be that top sort of top 8 to 10 mid. He's 76% game time. He'll probably keep going up to that sort of mid 80s that he has been in the past. But does have a solid matchup against Richmond this week, so could be a solid play if the coach is looking for that value premium. And then Jake Lloyd as well, 79. If you've got him, I'm sure that you can probably get rid of him because he just hasn't been putting up the numbers that you need. So there you go. That's it from that game, Tim. We'll move on to Saturday games.
Yes, Adelaide defeated North by 66 points at Adelaide Oval. So Lockie Scholl was a sub and he replaced Jordan Butts, who was concussed. But that's about it tonight. Yeah, no, there's a big hit that one there from Butts, so hopefully he's okay. But Jordan Dawson, 136, probably another one we don't have to add too much else on. He's just amazing, and he's going to be there for the Brownlow, I think, potentially. So, but yeah, #1 defender, I think, and he just keeps getting it done. Riley O'Brien, 100.
Bales, I think Jords paid $1 million for Dawson this week, and was it worth it, Jords? Does it feel good?
Sums up my season. I've gotten Dawson in round 16, so Ashcroft to Dawson worth every cent.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, Dawson he's an absolute jet. Rob got it done in a tough game against Goldie, but Goldie did get subbed out, so did sort of let Rob go ham in the second half. But 133, if you had him as a bit of a unique, you'd be happy with that. Ben Keys, Tim, 132. He only had the one CBA. So is there a concern for role there? I'll probably just say that maybe do you reckon it was a North Melbourne matchup that they probably flowed a few guys through there, or do you think that it could be something to note moving forward?
Yeah, so I'm actually I didn't watch this game. I watched the other game, I watched the Western Bulldogs and Freo game. So I was actually really keen to talk to you actually about this, Bales, because, I've kind of flicked across, actually, once again, another shout out to Mort, to DFS. Right? Do you know he's now created the ability like DT Live where you can create an account, log in, and then highlight your players on their live scoring, so that you can see. Do you know what I'm talking about, Bale? So you can highlight your players, and save it so that it's always shows who your players are when you're looking at live scoring, and you can highlight watch lists as well. So it's a feature that Mort just stuck in the website this weekend. So great work to him, mate. But yeah, heading across there and checking out the stats, I saw that Keys is on 132, and I was like, oh my god! And especially when DC was on a whatever it is that he scored. What you tell me, mate? What the hell happened?
Well, they ran like Rochelle and Saligo and Pedler through there more, which they hadn't been doing for probably the past month. Yeah. It's sort of been a lot more of the
it's more than
Laird, Dawson, and
almost 2 months.
Yeah, it's been a while. So it was interesting that they did that change. So you had like Laird was 29, Dawson 26, then Rochelle 18, Pedler 15, Sloan 11, then you had Saligo 8, and then Keys was only 1. So I'm thinking it was more down to the North matchup. But it's because they do have the Bombers this week. I think I would want to see one more week first if that role is staying forward. But he was sort of getting high at the ground, so it wasn't like a deep forward role that he has played in the past. So I think he's fine. He's got the Bombers. I expect him to go to a Merritt or a Parish this week, or at least man them up at stoppage. So I think it should be back this week. So yeah, it is something to keep an eye on. But yeah, just a bit of an asterisk with him there.
And then speaking of role, sorry, mate.
I was going to say, I think like the one CBA is overplayed. Like he was still up on the ball at like every stoppage. He was up through the ground. He wasn't playing forward. So I think the CBA is a little bit misleading.
Yeah.
It's one of those picks where if you don't have him, it's probably hard to go on because 3 of the last 4 games have been kind of like blowout wins by the Crows, and then the other game was the Pies game. So like, what is the real Keys and what the averages from here? I think is a bit hard. But if you've been on the Keys train, you're absolutely loving what you're seeing at the moment. But I wouldn't be too worried about the role as of just now.
Yeah. Well, speaking of role, the big player that I wanted to find out about from this game, because I am actually considering him in the back line, is Sheasel. What sort of role did he play?
He was just across half-back, just doing his
So
thing.
straight back to that half-back
Yeah,
role.
yeah, straight back to half-back. I don't think he got any CBAs at all now, so he didn't get any. So he was just purely at the back. And Zeeble did get injured. So
he could be like a trade-in option.
Potentially, if Zeebel's out for an extended period,
God.
then I don't know.
I think he's fine. I think they just said it was a knee knock, and he got taped up and came back on, so he should be all right.
But even still, with Hall out of the side now, and if they're playing Sheasel back off that half back again, you'd think, I mean, he could rack up some of those scores like he did early in the year.
Yeah, no, he definitely could be an option. He's still cheap enough, so it probably goes against all of our fantasy minds, just sort of trading back in a rookie. But he's no regular rookie, that's for sure. But his other partner in crime, George Waldor, played pretty well. If anyone still had him, he got an 86. Zeeble got an 86 as well, but with a knee knock. So, but I think if you still got Zeeble, you can trade him. And then we did mention before about Rory Laird. Just not a great game. A few +6s that teammates missed him with. So he'll be fine. He's just not quite put up the score this week. So, yeah, Tim, we'll move over to the other Saturday game as well that you're watching.
Yeah, so Western Bulldogs defeated Freo by 29 points at Marvel Stadium. So Neil Erasmus did replace Nat Fife, who injured his foot at three-quarter time. But over to you for the scores, right?
Yep, so Sarong just, again, season high score, continues to impress with 134 points there. George, do you see Sarong as a top 8 midfielder from here?
I've been off him just because of that ankle concern. I don't know how serious it is, but if that's all fine, then yes, I think he'll be top 8. Fills a lot of the stat sheet. It looks really good in there. Is their best first possession winner, I think. So I guess I didn't see this game. I was watching the other one, but I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me that every single week it seems to be reported that he's a little bit sore during the week, but yeah, their coach seems to think that he's a warrior and he's fine and will play through it. But yeah, I would want to know if that's completely gone before bringing him in personally. But I think he's probably had a down sort of month on what he can actually do, so he might be underpriced still. But yeah, all going well, then yes, I think he's top 8 though.
Yeah, he's been fantastic, and even though he has had that ankle complaint, just continues to put up these tons and big one on the weekend there. Sean Darcy, if anyone's still got him, returned with second week back with 126, so very good there. The Bont just continues to do Bont things with a 116 there. Now Liam Henry, 116. So Tim, I saw you put in the run sheet relevant, so I'm assuming you just want to get the thoughts of the boys if he's relevant. So Jords or JD, do you? Any of you boys think that Liam Henry's got any relevance at all? That's back-to-back 110 plus scores there.
I didn't see this, but I think, is he playing a bit off half-back and wing?
He's playing wing. Yeah, he's playing wing.
Yeah.
So Henry was actually one of my very smoky left field super coach pods potentially at the start of the year, and the number of reasons we went off him. Finally kind of got the role and responsibility I was hoping we'd see, and he's absolutely crushed it. Is he an option though at 500 and whatever K? Probably not. He's still a winger, and this is still fantasy. So these aren't the type of picks that normally sustain good scores from here on out. So yeah, I'd probably avoid him. And looking at his fixture, I think he's got Carlton and Collingwood in the next two. And without having the DFS stuff in front of me, I don't think they're good matchups for wing. So I'd be a little bit worried about jumping on Henry.
Yeah, and we have seen that wingers can be very fluctuating with their scores. Like Nick Martin was one that coach were keen on, and even though it was where they dropped, I think, a 60-odd. So it sort of just shows that we want these guys playing midfield or really good roles. So, yeah, I think that if you jumped on him, you'd be happy, but I don't know if I'd be jumping on him at 583K right now. Adam Treloar, so I know Minimunt.
So just before you move on, Bales,
yep.
So Collingwood are the hardest matchup for wingers.
Yeah, so they've got Carlton this week, then Collingwood. So, maybe not the time to jump on him.
Carlton
but, yeah.
Good, but Collingwood are the opposite,
Yeah. But Minimunt was hot on Adam Treloar, and he did well, 111 points. So I definitely think he could be a bit of a smoky. I know he's got the injury history there, but we've got all most of our rookies, if not all rookies, off field. So you could take a punt on him. He's been very good and in and around the top 8 midfielders when he's playing, and he's got a good role. So one to consider there. Jack McRae, 109, responded after think, what was he got the 80 before his bye, so back to the tons, so he'll be around those top forwards. So
just quickly on Jake McRae, I'm an owner. I think one thing I noticed last year was he was finishing games really poorly. Like his fourth quarters were like he wasn't scoring at all. Whereas this year he's finishing quarters quite well. This is something I picked up. So I've got him in the forward line. I started him in the midfield, and I don't know. He's turned it around even in a low CBA role. So quite happy with him. But there's just one observation I've made.
Oh, so like a couple of things. So he got CBAs this week, and like many more. I don't think they've actually released how many on DFS Australia, which is where I go to check as well. So shout out to Morts. But he definitely had more mid-time this week. But I thought the other thing on McRae was the second half of last year was much worse than his first half. So it wasn't just that he faded out in fourth quarters; he also faded as the year went on. So I don't know. I'm still pretty worried. But I'm also someone that started McRae and traded him out early. So I don't know. Maybe I've just got that anti-McRae bias in me, but yeah, it's probably not someone I'd be looking to trade in.
Yeah, so just looking at CBAs here, yeah, Bont had 28, Treloar 22, Libba 21, and McRae had 20. Then Bailey Smith was just 2. So it was seemed like a very tight 4-man mix there. So yeah, just something to maybe look at with McRae moving forward to see if that continues.
Oh, I'm pulling up my McRae spreadsheet. So last 10 of last year was 99, last 5 was 90. So he definitely trailed off in the back end of last year, but I think that also correlated with when some of his CBAs went away.
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll have to see if it continues, but owners would be very, very happy with him. English again just got it done with a 108 there. Brayshaw 102 as well, just getting the tons. Luke Ryan, if anyone brought him in, probably wanted a little bit more than the 87. He started well, but faded in the second half. But 87 is okay. Matt Johnson continues to tick over some really nice scores there. I still think if you can get him up to a premium this week, I'd still be making the move, even with that good score there. Hayden Young, 83 as well. I think coaches can look at still trading him out. He's been a bit underwhelming, as both the Ball Boys guys know, and anyone that owns Young. Caleb Daniels, 74, not quite the score any pod owners were hoping for, but hopefully bounce back this week. And then Bailey Smith, 51, just unfortunately just not relevant anymore with a poor score again and just hasn't got the role. So beautiful. Move on to the Twilight. Oh, yeah.
Bales, I know you get into the Q&A a bit later, and I'm sure some questions like this will come up. But if the only premium people can get an MJ up to is Mills, would you do that trade?
I think I probably would. I think there's probably more security with Mills. Tim, would you do it as well? Would you do that move?
Yeah, I am looking up in the sky and thinking about it. I think this. Sheldrick, being able to loop Sheldrick early in the week is going to take a little bit of the guessing out of it for a lot of coaches. But I think to some extent, this will kind of be the big decision of the week. Will be, moving these Sheldricks, Johnsons, those kind of players up to, whether it's your Jack Steels, your Callum Mills, those kind of players. So, yeah, it's definitely to be looked at. But I'm hesitant to make a call.
Yeah, could be one that we reassess later in the week. But I think you can pull that trade off.
Richmond is a good match. good matchup. But once again, do they rest him again? I
think I'd rather loop Sheldrick and Johnson if you have those two. Mills' break even's pretty high, so I think it's 100 on Footy White's got 104 here. So that might be this week actually, or last week rather, but I don't really trust Mills or his coach, to be honest.
Yeah, it's 104. No, that's accurate though.
Yeah, no, definitely one to ponder during the week. But Tim, we'll move to the Twilight game.
So Essendon defeated Port Adelaide by 4.
No,
Hang on.
This one.
Oh, damn it. I skipped ahead. Gold Coast defeated by Collingwood. Oh, my, that's right. This is an absolute take part, wasn't it? By 78 points at Heritage Bank Stadium. So the couple of relevant subs here. So Rory Adkins replaced Oao at halftime, and Harvey Harrison, my boy, replaced Jeremy Howe in the third quarter.
Yeah, so actually I think we can probably skip through a lot of this game because it wasn't too many relevant players, but Dacos 150, we just know how good he is. He's continues to get it done. So not really much else to say with him. Noah Anderson, if you've got him, 123. He just gets it done. But Toot Miller is reported that he could potentially be back this week. I don't know if he comes back this week or if it's next week, but that is something to note with Anderson, and he can play on the outside, so or like on a wing. So just something to keep in mind if you've got Anderson. Sam Flanders is cheap, 101, but I think a bit like Coleman and Henry, it's they're probably a bit of an awkward price. We're not really looking at the mid-price guys in what's probably underpriced guys in the 600s or 700s, or you're getting up to your big boys. So depends if you're keen on him, but I'm not sure I would be. Tom Mitchell, 101 as well. Just got another ton yet again. And then Darcy Cameron, a poor score there with a 58. I think it was just a poor matchup against Jared Witt. So I expect him to bounce back this week in a bit of an easier matchup against Tim English. So, Tim will move.
Fiorini had a 95 there as well, didn't he? Some coaches might still have him, but probably hope to have hopped off by now. But yes, now we'll move on to that game. Hey, Essendon defeated by Port Adelaide. Gee, I felt so bloody sorry for Essendon, which is something I very rarely do.
Very happy as a Crows fan, though.
But what a goal after the siren there, right?
What a roost, yeah.
Yeah, but a couple of confusing late changes prior to the game. So I think there was a late change I don't even have here. But then I think Josh Sin came into the team, and then Josh Sin went out of the team and was replaced by Quinton Narkle. And then right before the bounce, Scotty Lysette was replaced by Dante Vicente. But yeah, they were the late changes. Over to you, mate.
Yep, yeah. So Connor Rosie, 145, just continues to impress. Even with Butters doing well on the side, they just keep both getting it done. So there's no doubt that Connor Rosie is going to be a top 6 forward. But Darcy Parish, JD, bit of a unique option that obviously was out for a while with injury, comes back, got an 80 last week, but then bounced back to the 125 this week. On the run home, is he someone for coaches to look at as a bit of a pod there?
Oh, yeah, we're talking about this game. Can I just say, I don't know, maybe you're cursed, Bales, but I was, a top 10 team through the buys, and I drop a stinker this week. And I come on the same week that Essendon gets beaten by a crushing after the siren goal, which fair play to Houston, was a massive kick. We're talking about Darcy Parish, who kicked 0-4 and could have put it away in the fourth. And that 0-4 reminds me of Petrarca, who did the exact same thing in my side and could have been an absolute killer for the week. So, sorry, preamble, salt spilling out.
The pain.
So, look, I'm in a good headspace, and I'm definitely analysing things with a clear mind at the moment. Parish could be a pod option on the way home. I guess he's cheaper than some of the other top ones that people are going to, but up there, and obviously he's going to be very unique in terms of not highly owned. Now, I know Jords, if he jumps on to throw in his 2 cents, will say absolutely not because of the calf history, and that is one that can reoccur, and it being the second of his career is obviously a bit of a concern. I think the other thing we've got to worry about as well is what happens with Shield, whether they reintegrate him into the side. But one thing you could do is just keep an eye on Parish and then pick him up when they hit that Swans, Eagles, North GWS run in kind of like the last 4 or 5 weeks. So that's one that you could do. Although he does play, I think, Geelong, not this week, but the week after, and he's playing for that Geelong. He's playing for that Geelong contract. So, he's definitely one you could bring as a pod option. We've seen that he's best. He's really good, and I think with the way Merritt's been this year, he's obviously going to get the attention. So the only real concern is with Caldwell and Hobbs coming on, and then Shield still around as well. Have they got too many mouths to feed, and does that affect Parish? But from a pure fantasy perspective, I think he is an option if you're looking for someone unique on the run home.
Yeah, he's going to be up there, but as you said, that the calf issue could potentially rise again. So someone to have a look at there. Dan Houston, obviously, the one that kicked that goal. That was sorry, JD. Very nice long bomb there. 124 for him. A bit of an up and down player, so not really one we're going to consider too much. But if you've got him in draft, you'll be very happy. Zach Merritt, again, just continues to get it done. Another 114, a tough matchup there. Zach Butters, 102. Again, just ticking over a lot of the preems this week. There weren't too many that really did fail. And then Ben Hobbs there with a 73 as well. I think it's probably time for him to go with Parish back, and you can get him up to a better place. So I think he can go. But for the urgency of time, Tim will move on to the Sunday games as well.
Yeah, great. So just a reminder, if there is a player that you want to discuss that we haven't talked about, or a question you want answered, just tweet it in the spaces below or comment on YouTube, and we'll look through them before we finish up the pod. But moving on to the Sunday games now. Firstly, Carlton defeated Hawthorn by 60 points at the MCG. So Mitch Lewis injured an ankle, probably the only thing to note out of this game.
Yeah. No, it's funny enough, this year wasn't quite the most relevant fantasy game, but a couple of players here of note. Sam Doherty, 113. Jords, we know that he's been a top defender for years, and he looks like that again. Is he a guy that, I don't know if you jumped on him yet, but is he a guy you'd be targeting if you haven't got him already?
Definitely. I think he'll be. I assume not many people have him, and if they do, they probably got him this week. So his role's a bit all over the place. Sometimes a bit of wing, bit of halfback, maybe he's half forward at times. But he can kind of score anywhere, and he's really good at taking those uncontested marks and finding space. So he's one I definitely think will be around. I don't think he's coming into the season. I think most people had him as D1, but I don't think he's like top 3 or 4. Maybe on the outer, maybe like D5, 6, 7, 8 sort of range. So he's a good pod, and I'll definitely be looking to trade him in because we know his ceiling's so good. So I'll definitely tick that one off.
Yeah. I think Dacos and Dawson of the two that probably gone past him. But I think as you said, he could finish anywhere from 3 to sort of 8 because there are a fair few high scoring defenders. So it'll be interesting to see where he pops up. But a good option for coaches to consider. Tim, Sam Walsh got 90. He's been a bit disappointed, obviously, the last few weeks and just not quite putting up another score. Do you want to see something from him first before bringing him in, or would you be happy to jump on someone like him?
No, I wouldn't be happy to jump on him at all. Look, I mean, I think there's a lot of coaches that have been looking to hop off. At the same time, there have been a few content creators that have kind of kept him in the watch list as well. But he's not. I mean, Carlton just. Yeah, I don't have a lot of
cooks in the kitchen.
And I don't have a lot of confidence in that side. He's not someone I'll be looking to bring in.
Yeah, so just
quickly on Walsh. I owned him back half of last year. I picked him over Merritt, and it was an absolute nightmare. I think just doesn't get enough marks and tackles. Had a few tackles today, but they're just not high enough for the top 8 mids. And I think the CBAs some weeks might be in the 40s or 50s, so it's not good enough. I certainly wouldn't be going there.
Yeah, just having a look here. Yeah, Cripps had 20, Chera 19, then Walsh was 16, then you had Kennedy 15, Cunningham had 16, Hewitt came on as sub in last quarter and had 5. So if Hewitt's back in the side, they've got 4, 5, 6 guys there that could easily play. So it's, not quite the locked-in role that we want. Will Day, 79 as well. Not as good as last week. I'm not sure. I didn't actually watch too much of this game, so I don't know if he was copying any attention early in the game. So I don't know if any of you boys can comment on that. But
I can comment. So I brought in Doherty this week in both formats, and I've got Will Day in both formats. So a lot of people saying this game wasn't relevant, but it was relevant to me, damn it. Early I thought they were both kind of playing a similar role. I mean, Day was at stoppages a little bit more than Doherty, but then they were both sitting off the back of the pack, and Will Day was still floating back to be loose. Not all the time, but he was doing it a fair bit. But I thought Carlton did a better job of paying Day attention and not letting him have the kind of free run and access he did last week. And then he just didn't play as well, to be honest. There were also a few times around the ground where Carlton plays with fumbly, and so things that could have been tackles weren't tackles and that kind of stuff, which is just variance you get from game to game. So the role was similar to last week, but I thought Carlton did a better job paying attention, and Will Day just didn't have as good of a game. So it's not a mega concern or anything like that, but it's very much a disappointing score, seeing just a 79. I was laughing at Lloyd owners, I think, on Thursday night or whenever it was, and got my comeuppance today.
You could have both like me. Could be worse.
Do we think that he's going to be in amongst the top sort of 8 defenders? I don't think he's a top 6, but is he going to be in there, or is he a guy that you'd be happy to trade out there, Jords?
Happy to flick him. I mean, he's even since his junior days, he's been a really high marks player. That kind of carries him a bit. And even today, he had a few kick-ins. So kind of, I think his scoring of late's been okay because he's been bailed out by playing a bit of defence. So I don't think he's a high priority trade out, but he's not a top liner. So he's one I'd be happy to move off.
I'm waiting until Sicily comes back and moving him on for Sicily. So that's the plan.
Yeah, I was going to say that'd be a very, very good plan. I think that's something I'm going to consider as well, because Sicily's going to be a very good own in the back part of the season. Then David Cunningham as well got a 74. So I know Jet was quite keen on him. I think Jet brought him in. So 74, downgrade option if you want to pay up a little bit more, because he looked pretty good today. So, but yeah, we'll move on to the other game up at Traeger Park.
Yeah, so Melbourne defeated by GWS by 2 points at Traeger Park there. A couple of subs. So Bailey Fritsch hurt his foot and was subbed out, and Jake Melksham replaced him. And then if anyone's still got Ryan Anglin sitting on their bench, he was subbed in and replaced Daniel Lloyd in the fourth quarter.
Yep. Yeah. So Jack Viney top scoring here with 148. So very good for those draft owners out there. I don't think there's too many people in Classic got him, but if you do, then you'd be very happy with that there. Christian Petrarca, JD, continues to get it done. I know he gets it done in all the formats, but fantasy, he's sort of just consistent, very consistent this year.
Oh, yeah. The 0-4 is the killer in this game. It's, as I mentioned before. So, I brought him in last week, so I've had 2 pretty decent scores. But, yeah, he's been very good, I think, the last 5 or 6 weeks, basically, ever since Oliver's been out. And, he obviously had good games before that at the start of the year as well. So the one watch on Petrarca is how he will actually score once Oliver's back, which is hopefully this week. But I know the fixture for the Ds on the run home is pretty good. Like, I think they've still got a game against North, Richmond, Hawks, Swans, Blues. So definitely some games they can get some nice scores there. And they're in a situation now after dropping the last 2 that they actually have to win a lot of these to secure top 4 on the run home. So I'm pretty excited because I think Petrarca is one that can continue to score well and be close to the top 8, if not top 8 from here.
Yep. Yeah, he's been great. And I had the decision of Petrarca or Crouch last week, and it's probably, I think Crouch has just pipped him in terms of points for the both weeks, but I think if I went either way, I think they were both good options, and Petrarca is definitely one for coaches to look at, especially with that nice run on the way home. Tom Green had a 108 and 38 touches with 28 handballs for a 108. That's not exactly what I want, Tom, mate. We're a fantasy coach. We want you to kick the ball. So if you can have a few more kicks next week, that'd be very much appreciated, because it could have been a 120 plus. But Cogs 105 as well. Tim, I know you've been a loyal owner this year, and you've had him throughout the whole year, 105. A few coaches have been probably down on him a little bit just because he's just getting it done. But if you didn't have him, would you still look at targeting him just because he is getting it done?
Look, I don't think there's any reason to necessarily jump on. He just keeps ticking along. I mean, with that nice kind of 101 average, and it's been a bit hard for him to kind of, I guess, raise his head because, in the forward line, you've got, Taranto, who's been smashing out some 130s. You've got Goulden, who's, popped some 150s. Even Zach Butters has done, and then, Rosé. So it's kind of hard to stand out in that forward line. And he hasn't done it with any of those ceiling scores, but he's averaging over 100. And for me, he's in that top 6. So, but doesn't really offer value. I don't think his run is particularly that great.
Hawks this week,
but yeah. Look, he should be on your radar if you haven't got him, but there's no particular reason to be jumping on him.
Yeah, well, funny enough, I'm actually looking at him potentially as an option this week, but yeah, it just keeps getting it done. Josh Kelly, 96 as well. Probably not the game really that suits Josh Kelly, but kicked that goal that put the Giants in front late in the game. So 96, he's still a solid option there. It's just that body that is a bit of a risk. He's probably a little bit similar with Treloar in that way. So if you want to take the punt on them, they'll probably score well, but just be prepared that anything can happen with them. Harry Himmelberg, Jords, 94, playing in defence. Lockie Whitfield does come back this week, however. So what are your thoughts about him as an option next couple of weeks? Are you a bit nervous with Whitfield back and all those guys back there, or are you still happy to jump on him at a cheap price?
I own him in both formats. I was watching today, and he was getting endless supply of kick-ins, basically, which he didn't have the previous 2 weeks. And I think the past, not this week, but the 2 weeks prior, when he's been in defence, GWS have won quite easily, so there wasn't much supply for him. Today there was. So the 94 today, I think he's an okay pick. Whitfield coming back in. I know they did try Isaac Cumming on the wing in the VFL a few weeks ago. So maybe Whitfield comes in defence and Cumming moves up to a wing. It does sound like they're moving things around just to play him down back. So for that price, I definitely prefer him to that Kitty Coleman at around, 600K or something like that. So I think the role will hold. So yeah, I think he's a decent option. Is he a top liner? Don't think so. But for the price, I think it's not too bad. I definitely think the best for the price.
Yeah, and the defender
forward
too. Yeah, defender forward flexibility is also very handy. Yeah, had eight kickings played on from 7, then Lockie Ash, who's it's been my sort of pod, which I haven't really been too sold on. He might even go for me this week with a 78 with 6 kick-ins, so not a huge score. And Whitfield back could mean not great things for him. But, yeah, Himmelberg is definitely could be one to consider. But, yeah, just have to see how it goes because it could be sort of moving parts down there for GWS. And then Kieran Briggs, unfortunately, the bubble sort of burst a little bit today with a 59. JD, would you be moving off him and getting up to an English if for those owners that have got him or on Marshall if they've got English already?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Briggs was good, but in fantasy, he just doesn't necessarily do the same things that an English or a Marshall does. So, yeah, you've made over 250K at this point from Briggs. I think time to just get him up to English. So, yeah, to be moving on from him. It's one that I owned during the buys and got rid of him before the last buy and don't regret that. And I think if you don't have English yet, it's time to just bite the bullet.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100%. And then Tim, we'll move on to the final game with your Eagles, just falling short, but very, very good performance nonetheless, I thought.
Yeah, so West Coast defeated by St Kilda by 8 points at Optus. So a couple of late withdrawals with Tim Kelly and Luke Edwards with illness. That's probably all to mention, mate. Over to you for the scores.
Yep, so Brad Crouch, 137. Tim, I know that we both jumped on him last week, so you would have been very pleased with him. I know that you had Dawson VC into Brad Crouch, so you would have got essentially the same score either way, but you would have been very happy with him again.
Out on a solitary point, mate. But yeah, look, very, very happy with the Crouch trade-in. Look, still got a good run. Let me just quickly have a look at what he's priced at. I know he's jumped above... Hang on, where is he?
So he's currently got 921.
Jeez,
He jumped up a bit, yeah.
He's getting next year now. But they've still got a good run. And also, quick shout out to Lockie Neal as well. I mean, I brought both of those players in over the buys and they've both performed outstandingly well.
Yep, and shout out to your mate Holmesy as well that was suggesting, I remember on that Twitter space going Neil over Brayshaw, I think it was that week. So it was very handy for you.
Yeah,
so, yeah, very good. Shanahan, 133 there. Solid score from him and same with Alex Witherden. Could be guys that you look at in like the back half of the year. Like I can't remember who was saying it, but about Hearn, maybe you get him for a home game and maybe his final game and he could put up a monster score. But he
could be like a Tex Walker in the final round kind of thing, you know?
Do you know what would be better than that? Or who would be an even better Tex Walker? Tex Walker. Don't pick Hearn or with it. Like Hearn is as much chance to go 130 as he is to be injured with a hamstring on 30 at quarter time. All right, like no, never. That is to say, you could not even an unlimited trade format could you convince me that Hearn and Witherden are a good 1 week play.
So JD, you're saying that my trades are sorted in round 23 in Tex and Hearn.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. If you want to live up to your moniker of Bales the Bike, have at it.
Oh yeah, no, mate. Not been a shambles for me this year, mate. Ryan Marshall 130 as well. Very good score. If anyone put him as captain, I know a few did, and a few were a bit nervous with the sub risk, but he played out the game and scored very, very nicely and has been very good all year. Now, I want to ask you about this one, Tim. So Liam Duggan, 113. He continues to just put up solid scores week after week, and he's probably a bit of a smoky that could maybe sneak into that sort of bottom half of the six, if not just outside. Is he a guy that you might look at?
I think the thing that puts me off is his price. I'm just...
871.
871 for Liam Duggan? No, thanks. I mean, what? He's only 50K off Doc. I just don't trust it. I know he's been getting some midfield time. I don't know if that'll continue. I just think there's a lot of movement that could happen in that Eagles side.
Yeah. Well, we got a bit. Yeah, Joe.
Sorry, I was just going to say, he's one that has been getting kick-ins, but not by preference. So if Hearn is out and like Yo's out, and even if Witherden's not on the side, then like Duggan will get all the kick-ins, and maybe you could have like a few week run on him at that point. So yeah, you actually want Hearn to disappear, but Duggan's been very good. I wouldn't be surprised if he's leading like their best and fairest, to be honest. Yeah,
he's had a very, very good year. But we have got a bit of a surprise sort of special guest. Want to talk about one of his boys. Holmesy from the Pods jumped on to talk about his boys. So Holmesy, mate, how are you? And what were your thoughts on your boy on the weekend?
Can you hear me, boy?
Oh yeah, it's a bit quiet, but we maybe try again.
Yeah, I just wanted to say quickly, Brad Crouch can get absolutely fucked. Thank you for that. Thank you for that month of 70s when I was alone on the island that allowed him to drop his price down so that every coach in the country now has him. He can get absolutely fucked.
This is why we do a Sunday night review, right? So that our coaches can air their frustrations from the week.
Well, let me add then, because as a non-owner, I agree, Crouch can go and absolutely get fucked. That was one of the most pathetic performances I've ever seen. He held at every stoppage and just waited to hug and hug and hug. He was gross. He's terrible, and he should not be this successful, and I wish him all the pain and misery in the world. Please go and finish the season back in your 70s, Crouch.
So for listeners out there, this is what happens when the AFL gives us 4 weeks of buys. Coaches start to lose their shit.
That's funny. We'll go to the other players this game here. Sinclair with a 101. Got it done in the end, which is good to get his 100. Wayne Miller got 93 as well. So anyone that's got him out there, I know a few people jumped on him. I know Tim Yule, one that jumped on good old Gavin. If anyone doesn't know that.
Got a good match up against Melbourne this week as well.
If anyone doesn't know about the Gavin joke, make sure you check out the Twitter space on Friday. I was calling him
Gavin Wanganeen Malira.
Yeah. So, Gavin Wanganeen made a return. Jack Steele, 87. I'm jumping on him. It's been very frustrating.
Once again, I had the kids today, so I didn't even see this game, right? So was he getting CBAs?
Yeah.
What sort of time on ground did he get?
So he got CBAs, and I thought he was moving fine. I didn't. There wasn't him being hampered at all. It was just the fact that he's just out of
on ground.
He's just out of form. It's just he's missing. He missed a lot of tackles today.
Does he look injured or sore still?
No, he doesn't. He looks fine.
Okay.
He just doesn't really seem to. I think Jackson in our group chat was saying that it's unbelievable how Steele looks like he's everywhere, but just doesn't score. So he's just out of form. Yeah. Hopefully he turns it around, and it's probably going to be good for next year. He's going to be cheap, but
he's been sore and injured and winged for a while, right? So I think it's pretty normal for a player that's been, had a run like that to be a little bit out of form. But at the same time, being a Jack Steele, it probably won't take too long for him to turn it around. So just definitely keep your eye out for him, I think, because he's $780,000 and he could storm home in the last, 6 rounds of the year or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not going to trade him, but it's just probably got to keep an eye on him and see what he does. And if maybe in a few weeks when all my sort of other issues that are probably a little bit bigger than him, like an Ash and that final rookie, then maybe Steele can go. But at the moment, I've probably got to keep him. So, Winhager 77 as well. Put up, but again, him, Johnson and Sheldrick all put up solid scores. So 77 was pretty solid as well. So if you had him on field or even if on your bench, good for cash gen. And you could even keep holding him if you want, but he can always go as well if that's what gets you the upgrade. Ryan Marich got a 71 in a very good game from him. He actually played very, very well. And considering he's a late in, I don't think he should have been dropped in the first place, but he was very good there. Elijah Hewitt, popular downgrade option, 65, looked pretty good as well in patches, and I'll be looking at him as my downgrade this week, so I didn't jump on him. And then Campbell Chester with a 61 as well, so not too bad from him. Had some good moments as well. And looks to be building a bit of form in the AFL side there, Tim. So Tim, that's all the games there.
Awesome. All right. Well, before we kind of turn to some questions, I wouldn't mind asking the boys, who do you think will be the players that will be the kind of the main trade targets that people or coaches will be looking at this week?
For cheap options, I don't mind Himmelberg. If you don't have English, definitely grab him. There's a lot of the midfielders are around the 900k mark that are not too bad. Like I look at, you got a Kelly, Parrish, Treloar. I think they're all kind of injury prone. So you got Petrarca for just a little bit more. So I think Petrarca with his run home is a good in. I guess it kind of depends on your price range. With Ben Keys, the CBAs worry me. So I'm not 100% sure on him as a trade target. I know he's 70k, pretty cheap for what he can do. Just watching him though, I think second half he was more forward, whereas first half he was midfield pushing up a lot. Also forward and pushing up into the stoppages a lot more. So I think his scoring dropped off in the second half. So I'll probably sit out on Keys, but think he'll be okay because he will roll up into the midfield. But yeah, it's a tough one. There's no real obvious targets to me. But for me, it's just about getting all the best 22 players. So I think I'm targeting like a Bont or a Merritt and just paying the $1 million just to get the best 22 players. What do you reckon, JD?
Sorry, I missed that. Got distracted by a couple of things at home. Where are we at? Talking about cheap options?
Yeah, just trade targets for the week.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on whether you're in a position to get top of your line or whether you have to go for those compromised targets. So, I mean, I think you're right. If you're looking for the compromised ones, it's probably the Himmelberg or maybe the Mills. Otherwise, I mean, I still think Doherty's a good target this week and probably one that I'd be prioritising. And then we already touched on English for any of those that still have Briggs is probably time to go and get him.
Yeah, good matchup for English this week with Collingwood, and I think he can put up a pretty big score. So, Tim, have you got anyone to add there as well?
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, I'm not really sure. It's actually going to be a really tough week for. It's going to, I mean, primarily people are going to be looking to fill their best 22, right? So, they will be looking at, okay, where are my holes? I'm imagining, our ruck lines for most coaches are full. Our forward lines are probably full, if not pretty close to it. And then, there's probably some pretty tempting options. I mean, Darcy Cameron probably has turned coaches off, but, Ben Keys, I think, will still probably be on people's minds with such a low break even. And obviously, especially that ceiling from last week.
Yeah, a bit more expensive now for Keys, up at 776 as well. So.
Yeah, I do wonder whether, I'm looking at my side and, I've still got probably that Sheldrick that I can loop through that M8, but I've got a Harry Himmelberg at D6. I probably feel like I kind of want to get off him. But once again, that's probably even an option that some people are looking at bringing in. I don't think Himmelberg is a very long play. I mean, I was even concerned. I mean, I had to bring him in with the yell out this week, but I was even concerned, being up at TIO. I know it's Alice, right? But still, those grounds can do funny things. I don't want him in the side too long. But, here's an option. Here's a cheap option and someone you can make a little bit of cash with as well. Yeah, apart from that, I can't really think of. I mean, David Cunningham, who called him out? Was it Jeff last week?
Yep.
Mate, he did pretty well.
344K, break even 13.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what people might be looking to do as well. A few little, kind of just bank a little bit of cash on the bench and bring in someone who's going to make some, with a low break even, like one of these players that's going to make some money. Yeah, it's going to be some strange plays coming up, I think, these next couple of weeks.
Yep. Yeah. I don't think I can actually add too many other targets onto that, because you boys pretty much mentioned it. So I think we can probably move to the next bit.
Yeah, obviously early in the week as well. So, on a big part of our conversations, I was listening to all the other pods and all the other content creators and who they've got their eye on. And, that's what kind of gets our juices flowing and gets us thinking about other players. But mate, why don't you have a look at the YouTube comments? I'll have a look at the Twitter space comments. And
while you're doing that, I'll throw in a question. Would you consider buying Oliver, assuming he's named just off rip? So 990K, obviously top priced, but would you bring him in if you could?
As a Jack Steele owner, I couldn't, because I'd bring in players off injuries. I don't know if I could quite do it again, but maybe someone that hasn't got Jack
injury
Steele
is different to still injured.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I know. Just the pain for me for these primo mids this year. So, Tim, mate, how about you? You can answer this, as you've had a bit more success with your primo mids this year.
Sorry, what was the question, mate?
About Oliver jumping. Can you jump straight onto him?
No. Look, I mean, I think he's been out of the game for so long now. Probably a little bit of lack of form. It might take him a little while to find the footy, I think. And at that price, there's probably other people that you could be jumping on and bringing in that are probably going to score just as well, if not better, with a lot more security and, kind of less red flags. So, I don't think I would jump on him.
Are you different, JD? Are you looking at something like that, maybe jumping straight into him?
I think I'm actually going to be short on money, to be honest. Oliver and Sicily are the two that I kind of want to bring in over the next few weeks. So I might have to pass them this week and look at a cheaper option instead. I'm a little bit unsure about what to do with like Cameron and Will Day, whether I get spooked and trade them or I just stick fat as well.
Look, the Gold Coast matchup is always a really tough matchup for Ruck. So,
It is.
I expected Darcy Cameron to have a tough run this week.
Yeah,
but,
same. But when it's sub 60, it just feels so bad. And you look at the upcoming matchup in like English and Darcy in the next two, and I'm not getting filled with confidence that this is turning around quickly.
Well, he was only. I really only saw him as a buy play. I even considered hopping off him last week, but with Yo out, kind of tied my hands. Look, he especially throwing up a sub 60, he might be on the chopping block for coaches this week as well. But I think the other thing is, and look, I think he's performed. I expected around a 90 to 95 average, and I probably got more like 100, 105 average out of him for the last 4 weeks or something. So I think he's overperformed what I've expected. So, it sucks that he drops to 60, but maybe it's time for him to move on. Obviously, with him, maybe he's a player that you can. Maybe there's plenty of coaches. I know I'm rocking a mid forward in my midline, so that I'll be able to kind of rotate that mid forward like a cogs down into the forward line, and then maybe stick Cash on top of Darcy Cameron and bring in a top 8 mid.
Yep, definitely a good move to look at there. I've got the 2 questions on YouTube here, and they're just the 2, and I'll go one each to Jords and JD. So first one I'll go to Jords is from Moonboy. He said, is DC and Will Day out for Himmelberg and Doc? Would you tick those 2 moves off?
I think you're getting one best 22 player instead of 0 of what you had before. So I think that's okay. So, I'd tick that off.
Yeah. I think the Doc one is a good in. So I would also agree with that. And then JD, just this one here from Max. He said he's annoyed with Lloyd. So would you be considering going a Lloyd to a Sheasel?
So I think trading out Lloyd is fine, but if you're going to trade him out, you want it to be a top 6 defender. And Sheasel's not that for me. So if it's to someone like a Doherty, I'm happy to tick it off, but Sheasel is no thanks. I'm not going to rookies at this time of the year.
Yeah, I think if you go someone up to Sheasel, if you think Sheasel's going to be good, then that's fine. But I agree. I think if you're getting rid of Lloyd, I think you probably want to be aiming for one of those top guys. If you don't have a Dawson,
Sheasel's got Geelong this week as well.
Yeah, tough game.
So this wouldn't be the week to bring him in.
I think the problem with Sheasel, right, and is he could drop a 80 or a 60 or a 70, something like that in the next few weeks, and then you're going to be in the same boat of like, do I just need to trade him straight away? Like, is this going to be what continues to happen? Or like, it's very different to if like Dacos or Dawson or Doherty has a down week, they're going to bounce back. It's just not true with Sheasel. So I think, I wouldn't be mucking around with those types at this point in the year, because it's probably just another trade you're going to have to make, and further away from upgrading your team to full best 22.
Tim, they're the questions from YouTube. I'll answer any of the other questions as well post the Twitter space. If anyone's listening on the Twitter wants to jump over to YouTube, or if you're listening on YouTube, I'll be answering questions straight after. So stay tuned for that.
We've been going an hour and 10 now as well, so it's probably time to wrap it up. But before we do, why don't I just ask the boys if they've got any ideas about what their moves might look like this week?
I'll go first. So I traded English in the buys as a cash grab. So I had Briggs at R3, which I got rookies off, but Briggs sort of let me down this week. So it's Briggs back to English this week. And then I've got Darcy Wilmot down to a rookie. I'm just going to go 200k rookie. I don't care if they play or not. So I'll go with that. So that way I can loop Sheldrick a little bit better. So those are my moves this week. But next week, I'll certainly be targeting Sicily.
Yeah, I think a lot of coaches will be.
Yeah, sweet. JD?
Coaches anyway.
Yeah, so I'm that's a big part of what I'm thinking about as well, is how do I make sure I've got the cash to get from Day to Sicily next week, and then also finish the side. So I'm probably looping Sheldrick on Thursday night, and if he scores well and I'm happy to take his score, I think I'll move DC on this week and get someone like an Oliver in my M8 spot. Otherwise, I've got no idea, to be perfectly honest. Like, I don't know if I bring in a Mills type, which I need to do, obviously, before I see Sheldrick score, or even the Harry Himmelberg for a little bit. I would probably rather not do either of those. So maybe I'll look at a Sarong or someone like that. It just feels bad paying $9.40 for him. So, yeah, I've got a fair bit to think through this week.
Yep, sweet. Kim?
Yeah, I will. I think I might be trading Darcy Cameron this week, like probably just like a rookie down and then Darcy Cameron up. And then I'll just have to toy with, because I'll move Cogs down into my forward line and then I'll be able to, strengthen myself in either my defence or my midfield. So, I'm not quite sure. I think I'll have about 800, 850 to play with, something like that. So, yeah, I'll have to, do a bit of research, have a look at what players I can bring in there. But, yeah,
Yep.
I think Darcy Cameron might be the play. I think, I wouldn't mind hanging on to Sheldrick. I think obviously playing early, I think he'll still have that role. I think he just seems like an absolute bloody gun. I just can't believe how much that guy gets the ball. He's a magnet, an absolute
ball
magnet.
I was saying on the watch along on Friday, he's going to be a guy that we're going to be definitely having in our sides in the future years in fantasy. That's for sure. Because he just seems to attract the ball whenever he's on the ground.
And look, I've still got Gavin back in at D5 there, mates. But he's got Melbourne, and Melbourne are a great matchup for defenders. So I wouldn't mind leaving him this week. And then still got Harry Himmelberg, or not still got Harry Himmelberg at D6. Once again, I definitely want to upgrade him, but he's got Hawthorn this week as well. So, and a very low break even. So I think that means Darcy Cameron is the prime candidate to get upgraded.
Yeah, and then for me, I'm looking at just doing a downgrade and upgrade. I was wanting to get that final rookie off field and go up to Mills, but I'm a little bit nervous about locking in my trades in on a Thursday, just in case anything did sort of happen. So I'm sort of looking at looping the best of Sheldrick, Dev Robertson against West Coast, and then if both them fail, May playing a Winhager or someone on field, it's just that final spot, and going a Lockie Ash up to a big primo. It might even be a Petrarca in midfield or someone like that. So that's probably my early thoughts there. So that's what I'm looking to do.
All right. Well, look, boys, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you guys coming on, and thanks for all the insight. JD, where can people find you, mate?
They can find me over on YouTube at Jackson Davey. Oh, I think that's my Twitter handle. I think at YouTube, if you search Jackson Davey, you'll find me as well. Otherwise, I frequent the Fantasy Take TV podcast, which Jords can tell us more about.
Yep, Fantasy Take TV podcast. So that's on, I think we're doing it live now on Tuesday nights. And otherwise, we'll be on Spotify and my YouTube channel, which is Jords FTTV. And also, I'm on Twitter, Jords FTTV. So you can find me there, mostly Supercoach stuff. But me and JD do a little bit of fantasy content too on our YouTube channels every now and then, which is good.
Give the boys a follow. It's always great to give them a support. And look, I mean, as you can tell, they've given great insight, whether it's Supercoach or whether it's AFL Fantasy. I mean, I know I listen to a couple of pods that do both platforms anyway. So give them a follow, give them a listen. And boys, we just thanks a lot for joining us. And in particular, thanks for our listeners for joining us. And thanks to those of us that send in questions. You can continue to send your questions to us on Twitter. And please give us a follow at AFL Fantasy Fans. And don't forget to tune in each week, not only after the final siren of the round each week for our live Twitter space, our round review, but also at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard, 4 p.m. Western on Fridays for our pre-lockout chat. And remember, you can listen to these spaces on AFL Fantasy Fanatics podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Please subscribe to the pod. We'd love it if you could just, spend a minute of your time, head over there and give us a 5-star review. It would be very much appreciated. Of course, best of luck with your research this week and your trades, and we will catch you again at the same time next week. Thanks a lot, and see ya.
See ya.
Cheers,
Perfect.
boys.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for jumping on.
Pleasure.
Well, thanks for having us.
Absolutely
Beautiful.
not a dramas at all. It's great to have you guys on. And of course, to all of our live listeners, we fucking love you guys. Thanks for joining us.
And if anyone wants to head over to the YouTube stream,
and
I'll be answering questions.
Also, big heads up. It's going to be a big Friday night at Varsity. Bales is in town this week, so for those of you listening, if you're in Perth, put it in the diary for from about 5 o'clock on Friday
fly
night.
over. Why not?
Yeah, or fly over. Fucking come over with Bales and come and join us for some cheap drinks between 5 and 6. And they do really, really good burgers there at Varsity. So, everyone should get along and join us. We'd love to have you along.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys. Worked out the gremlins at the start of the Twitter space, but all good now. So I'll go through some questions for a little bit, and then then we'll be done for the night. But yeah, looking forward to Perth this week, so it's going to be good fun. Be there for a week, and then the Traders there the week after, so I get to see everyone there, which would be good. So let's get through some of these questions. So Jaden Ellis had a blinder, 25-75. Huge score there, Jaden. Congrats on that massive week, mate. I didn't quite have as good a week, but very, very nice there. Ben Hayes could have scored 110 more if I played my best team on field. Yeah, I would have had probably more points as well if I went Dawson captain, and I think Johnson would have scored more than like a Darcy Cameron as well. So yeah, just unfortunate there. But hey, unfortunately, we can't always have it every week. So, but yeah, Baxter says Dunks question mark. Yeah, we just have to keep an eye on the news this week, see if he's if there's anything to worry about there. So yeah, I can't quite exactly say what's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's out either and rested. So we'll have to see. Corey Blackledge, my score was 23-73, but didn't have Dacos, English, or Rosie. Crouch and Keys down 1.3k in ranks. Need to fix my team up bad. Now 9,338 overall. Yeah, see, funny enough, 23-73, you look at it and it's a good score, but then obviously everyone went big and you didn't have a couple of those guys, as you mentioned. So yeah, just if you can get them in, whenever you can get them in, Corey, would be good. But yeah, unfortunate. But I'm sure you'll bounce back next week. I like to think I'll bounce back, but hasn't quite happened this year. Ben Hayes, definitely need to get Keys and Himmelberg in. I don't know about trading out Cameron. Thinking of trading Hobbs and Cameron for Keys and Himmelberg. Yeah, I don't mind it. It's probably a little bit sidewaysy because you're going sort of Hobbs and Cameron to two guys that aren't necessarily going to be top in the line. I don't know if Keys will be a top six forward, but yeah, you could even just do... I'd prefer to go to one sort of top of the line player and then get Himmelberg as well if you're looking at something like that. Bryce, big one for me, 25-70, including Laird being captain. Wow, 25-70 with Laird captain. That's a huge week. So you wouldn't have had a Darcy Cameron. You wouldn't have had a sort of a poor sort of D6, which maybe some people had like a Will Day or something like that, or Jake Lloyd. So, no, huge week for you, Bryce. Congrats on that one, man. Harry Thomas, 21-93. Is that bad? Yeah, unfortunately, probably a few 100 points off par this week, so it's quite a high-scoring round. So, sorry about the one there, Harry, but hopefully you do bounce back this week here. Max Boston, 25-03 and slipped in rankings. Bloody had Taranto, VC and Laird captain. Rip. I'm the same, man. I had the VC and captain of Taranto and Laird, so unfortunate there. What have we got here? Brendan, up 1,500 ranks. Briggs and Day wounded me as well as Taranto and Dunkley, but everyone had them. Yeah, exactly right. Everyone had Taranto and Dunkley, so that's fine. And pretty much everyone had them VC or captain anyway. Ben, Lockhead's lifted. Yep, beautiful. Yep, which is great so people can make their trades. Brendan, all my rookies perform really well this week. It might be a sideways just to get Keys. Potentially. I'm not sure if Keys is necessarily a must bring in. He is a bit more expensive now at 72k or whatever it is. So he's expensive. If you think he's going to be a top six forward, he's definitely got to be an option because he's cheap, but it just depends. Do you think he will be? I'm not sure if he will be, but if he keeps performing the way he's going, then he's definitely going to be very, very close. So yeah, 776, sorry, break even to 55. Yeah, got to be one you can consider. Ben, trades looking like Cameron to Keys and Hobbs to Himmelberg. Oh, yeah, I said that from before. Double dummy. Yeah, can't remember being disappointed with a 2383 either, but I am. I know, it's a very weird week. If you did score under 2400, you would be weirdly disappointed, but because it was such a high-scoring week. I'm disappointed with a 2428, and because I just thought I left about 150-odd points on the table, but unfortunately, hopefully we bounce back this week. Damian Martin, yeah, scored 24.88. Only went up 117 spots from 3,676 to 3,559. Tough making progress after the buys. I think it'll start kicking in next week. I think this is a bit of a weird week to sort of make ground because we always think round 16 is where you make ground because the people at sideways premiums. But because we had all the rookies score really well, the premiums scored so high. I think this week come out will be probably a bit more of a week where you can gain ground. So I'm not too fussed with dropping a few hundred spots like myself this week, or it may rise in a couple hundred spots. I think this week coming up will be a week where maybe we can rise a bit more. Jack Wilson, 2,500 on the dot. Pretty happy with the score. I'd love to score 2,500 on the dot, actually. I think I've scored 2,500, so be good for that to happen. Could have been this week if I didn't have bloody Laird captain, and yeah, bloody this year's been a bit tough, unfortunately. Brendan, thinking Laird to Keys and Day to Doc. Happy with my bench. Should have traded Johnson out, but oh well. I would not be trading Laird. I know that I'm not happy with my boy at the moment, but I wouldn't be trading Laird. Laird's going to be top 8 midfielder, so I wouldn't be trading him. Max, I might go back to Sheasel. Oh, that's right, the Sheasel to Lloyd to Sheasel. Yeah, with the Geelong matchup, probably wouldn't do it. If Sheasel had a good matchup, I'd consider it, but
yeah, you want to be going Lloyd up to the top there, so I'd be looking at doing that instead. Andrew Greer's 25.07, not too bad. Laird captain, never again this season. He will be captain again this year, but it's just, yeah, he's not going to be my captain this week. He's got the week off of captain. And Dusty Cameron, need to get Cameron up to Neil. Yeah, that's definitely a play. Could be a good option there. So, yep, I would tick that trade off. John, I got 25.58, best score ever. Yeah, it's a huge week, mate. Good stuff on your best score there, John. I wish I got 2,500 plus. Moon Boys, DC and Day Out for Himmelberg and Doherty, good. Yeah, I like it. Yep, that's right. We answered that one in the pod as well. I like those trades. You're getting Doherty in, which is good. Himmelberg will make you some good cash. So, yeah, I would do those. Harry Thomas, is Meek down to Williams and Humphrey to Himmelberg good trades? I need defender and I can go to Ryan or Sheezer, but I reckon Himmelberg will score similar and I want to save cash. So, Harry, if you've got all rookies off field, I would actually go for Luke Ryan there. I think Luke Ryan's got the big ceiling. He's got the good role. They've got a decent run, I think, on the way home Freo. So the only reason I'd be getting Himmelberg is if you can't afford anyone else. But if you've got all your rookies off field, then I'd be getting Luke Ryan and getting the better defender in. If you've still got two rookies on field or whatever, then I'd probably would take the haircut for Himmelberg because then you've got cash for next week to upgrade that rookie. But I would prefer Luke Ryan for the rest of the year. Carl Wilton, why does Faye not get replaced by emergency shoved it automatically in my team for N16? Confused rookie, thanks. I'm assuming that you had Faye in a different... So, yeah, Faye was your emergency. Didn't get replaced. So I'm assuming that you had Faye in your defence and Sheldrick and he won't cover for a defender. Whereas... Or if you had Sheldrick in your forward line and Faye in your midfield, it wouldn't count either. If you wanted Sheldrick's score to count for Faye, you would have had to have had Faye in your midfield on your field, and then you would have had to have had Sheldrick as your midfield emergency. So that would have been the way. That's probably where that happened there, Carl. Nightwalk Shorts is Ryan to Williams and Ford to Himmelberg. Good. Yeah, I like him. Tick them off. Yep. You're getting a rookie up to Himmelberg, and you're getting Samson Ryan down to Williams. Yeah, I like him. I'd be doing those trades there. Brendan, want to keep Sheldrick and Wilmot. Thoughts on a cash gen tactic? Laird to Keys and Day to Doherty. Think Keys will score the same as Laird and make 170k to get Doc? I wouldn't do it, no. I would still go, I'd still go Wilmot down to a rookie and then go Will Dart to Doherty if you're looking at that move. I wouldn't be trading out Laird. I still think Laird's going to be a top 8 mid. Maybe not the top sort of 2 or 3 I was thinking he might be. Maybe he's more closer to anywhere from 3 to 8. But yeah, I would still be keeping Laird. But then again, it's one bad week, so he might come back next week and get a 120. So I wouldn't be trading out Laird. He still could be a top 4 midfielder. Moonboy, I need help with my trades. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough week this week for trades. There's not really any obvious sort of guys to look at bringing in. John, who would you trade in out of Doc and Rosie? Oh, that's a good question. Doc or Rosie? Probably depends where you rank, John. If you're looking for a pod, it's probably Doc. If you want to cancel out people around you, it's Rosie. I'd probably go Doc, but Rosie's been very, very good. So he's putting out a lot of these hundreds of late. So you can't go wrong with either. So I'd probably go Doc. Or would you trade out Seamus Mitchell over Windhager so I can get Bont? No. I would rather have Mitchell and Doherty and get Windhager up to Doherty instead of going Mitchell up to Bont. But then again, Bont's been great. I still think I'd get Doc. I'd go Windhager to Doc there. Baxter, if Dunks is 2 or more, is it a must trade? Yeah, if he's out for 2 or more weeks, it's a must trade. I just think that he'll either play this week or be out for a week. If he's out for a week, I still think it's a trade because he's so expensive. But yeah, if probably not going to know if he's out for more than 2 weeks. And I don't think he will be. So I don't think he's not a must trade if he's out for a week. But then again, $1 million is a lot of money. So if you've got a rookies off field, you probably do have to trade. Actually, it probably is a trade actually if he's out for even a week. So as while the dogs go nuts in the background. Mike Fair, hey man, I kept Wilmot rather than trading in the Berg for Yo last week, thinking of going Yo to Doherty and Wilmot to Faye. Thoughts? Yep, I like him. Tick him off. Yep. If Mullen gets named, if you can do Mullen, that'd be something you could look at. But if not, then yeah, Faye's would be the play there. Brendan, thoughts on Flanders? It just depends what sort of... If you've got multiple rookies on your field, you could look at it. But I think most coaches have only got a Sheldrick or something on field anyway. So you're going to be looking at the better players. So I'm not sure about Flanders. I think it's a bit risky at this time of year now. Not if it was maybe 6-7 weeks ago, then it would have been a play definitely, but not now. Not Wolf Shorts, or should I go Hobbs to Keys and Ford to Fletcher for some cash? So, what's the initial ones? Ryan to Williams and forward to Himmelberg, or go Hobbs to Keys and forward to Fletcher? I actually like the second one better, actually, I reckon. I'd rather get Keys than Himmelberg, and could you maybe do Samson Ryan to Fletcher? I don't know if that would work. If you could do that, that'd be great. If you could do Samson Ryan down to Fletcher, if you've got like a Max Heath or a McAndrew, you probably don't. So it's probably got to be. If you could go, yeah, I'll be happy with that. Forward to Fletcher and Hobbs to Keys. Next week you can go Samson Ryan down and then the other guy up. So, yep, I would do the Keys and Fletcher trades. Andrew Grills, what to do with Cameron? Can't loop Sheldrick, got in Cunningham and Doherty. If you don't want to have Cameron anymore, I think you can trade him. But I still think he'll put up a better score. I think it was a tough matchup this week against Wits up at Gold Coast. I think he'll have a better time for under the roof at Marvel. I think it's on the roof at Marvel against Collingwood against the Bulldogs this week. So you can keep, but you can also trade. Just depends where your team's at there, Andrew. Brendan, unless I swap Data for Flanders, that feels like a dumb decision. Yeah, I don't think I'd be doing Data Flanders. No, I wouldn't do that. Christopher J says 25.94 this week. Huge score there. Can go Johnson to Hewitt and Hobbs to any mid apart from Bont. Tick this off. What mid to bring in? Oliver, Brayshaw or Laird? I don't think it's Oliver because I just don't know if I could jump straight into him if he gets named. If you asked me this week, I would have said Laird. I just have a hard time recommending Laird after a poor score, but Laird's going to be good. I still think I'd back Laird in, but who's Brayshaw got this week? Brayshaw's got Carlton, could cop a tag from a Kerno. He's got Collingwood, Sydney, so a couple of tricky games to come. Then Geelong, then Brisbane. What's Laird got? What's Laird's run? Laird's got the Bombers this week, which is a pretty good matchup under roof. Then he's got Giants, Melbourne, Port Adelaide. So we're getting a bit of a trickier run as well. Who's cheaper? Laird cheaper, about 30k. If that 30k makes a difference, I'd go Laird, but I think Brayshaw's probably the pick that most people say after this week. But yeah, it's either those two. Whoever you prefer there, Chris, for there. Baxter, Dunks to Bont. If Dunkley's out, yeah, I'd tick it off, but only if he's out. If Dunkley's playing, you don't trade him. He's got West Coast, so if he plays, so yeah. Golden Guys, I'm going Chincotta and Pedler to Himmelberg and Marriage. Thoughts? Yep, I like those. Tick them off. The two rookies, and you're going one down, one up there. Mitch, 18. Hobbs to Bont or Petrarca or Briggs to English? I think it's Briggs to English for me. I think you get the ruck done. Hobbs can still put up pretty solid numbers. I know Briggs has been good as well, but I think I'd still want English in my side. I'd still want him in more, so I think I'd go him. Jack Wilson, hey Bales, missed the review, so what was thoughts on Steele? It's funny, he moved around well. He didn't look hampered at all. I thought he was in the game a lot. He just didn't score as well. Like 87's not that bad, right? His score could have been a 120 if he was in form. I just think he's out of form. I just think that it's just down to the injuries, as many he's out of form. I think he'll slowly build to scoring better. So if you've got him, I'd still think I'd hold him. But if you are looking at targeting him, I don't think I'd target him this week. I think I'd still be waiting before, and you want to see a good score put up and then him also play. The good thing is his game time was up. He's up at 82% game time, which is great. That's what we want to see. More game time means they're not managing, because this could have been a game where they manage him a bit more. I know the game is sort of in the balance, but yeah, I think that, yeah, I wouldn't be targeting him, but I wouldn't be trading him, I don't think. So, Nightwolf Shorts, I'm calling it best trade anyone's made. I brought in Liam Henry for Anthony for Constable. It might not be the best trader, but it's definitely a very good trade there, Nightwolf. There's a very, very good move there from you, mate. So good stuff there. Andrew Grievous, Cameron and Sheldrick, my two worst players. Got in Doherty last week for Yo. I like that move. And then, yeah, Cameron can obviously be moved. Sheldrick, obviously, the good thing is we get to look at him on Thursday night. So, John, thanks, Bales. I'll tick off Hobbs and Windhager to Rookie and Doherty. Yep, yeah, I agree. I would do those trades. Harry Thomas says, Bont proved himself as a top mid. Oh, I think he's a top 4 mid. Whether he's the number 1 mid for the year, I think based on how he's going, I think at the moment he probably is. But Oliver will come back. He'll have something to say about it. I think Brayshaw's still up there. I still think Laird can have something to say about it, even though he didn't have a great score on the weekend. Maybe Dawson, because Dawson's going so well, maybe Laird's not going to be that 120-plus guy in the back huffy like he was last year, because there was no Dawson in the midfield. So there's a few guys there, like Brad Crouch. Like Brad Crouch has been going really well. That's now 5 scores in a row, been big. So he's not going to be the top number 1 mid. I'm just saying that he's in there. There's a lot of guys. Zach Merritt's been great. Petrarca's there. Like, there's a lot of mids that could sort of put their hand up for that top sort of mantle. But I think Bont's probably got it at the moment, I think. String Bean, PE, Bars, tell us about your football background, club played for, best position for yourself, etc. String Bean coming up with the important questions. I love it. So, yeah, played club football for, how many years was that? I played Auskick for 2 years, and I was under 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then 18 I played 2 years for. So 14 years I played footy for, so essentially my whole childhood and that. Best position, I was probably best. It's funny, I don't know, because I was a forward my whole career. I was mainly a forward, half forward flank that would push up the ground a bit more, but also played on a wing, and then I thought I had one of my best games actually off half back. So I don't know if that would have been something I would have been tested out more. And then also had a game or two in the midfield, which I really enjoyed. So who knows if that's if I would have been better as a midfielder or a half back, who knows? But yeah, enjoy my time playing footy. Nightwall Shorts, good call. I'm going Ryan to Fletcher. Thanks. Yeah, if you can do that, yeah, I'd be doing that. It's a good trade there. Harry Thomas Canito's been the most boring to own. He has been, but he's been getting it done. So, yeah, I'm not sure. It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? You sort of don't want to trade him out, but you're sort of like, well, you're probably not doing exactly what I want you to do. So, but yeah. Chris Paul, Wilmot to Himmelberg, Cameron and Mills. Yeah, I think I'd tick them off. Yeah, I think Mills going to be better than Cameron on the way home, so I think I probably would do those. AFL MTB, Chesser to Fletcher, Wanganeen Miller to Ben Keys. No, I wouldn't be doing those. I just don't think I'd be trading Chesser. Chesser's playing. He played pretty well today, actually. And Wanganeen Miller, I think he's been playing well, so I wouldn't be trading him out either. I'd be doing something probably a bit different there, mate. Jack Wilson, Wardlaw and Chesser to Steele and Mullen. Ooh. Again, I wouldn't be trading Chesser. I know that that might be one of their ways to do it. I just think he's got more cash to make. He's playing, so I wouldn't. Wardlaw can go, and I don't know if I'd be targeting Steele. If you think it's going to turn now, then you can, but I would still want to see something first. Max Boston, evening bars. Max, hope you're doing well, mate. DJ Brack, have 5. Enough said about my team. Good night. Yeah, unfortunately, 5 hasn't quite been the pick, has he? Unfortunately, there. Brendan Bales, we have 9 rounds left. I think the 2 best cash gens I have are Sheldrick and Wilmot. I think Wilmot will go 80 plus with his role, so I have to trade someone to get Briggs to English. Yeah, I can't. Oh, that's right, because you've got to make cash. I know that you think, mate, like, if you believe Wilmot can average 80 plus, then yeah, you can probably keep him, but I don't think he will. Like, he's only had 1 score over 80 this year, so he's only had the 1 score over 75. So I know that he scored well. It was against Richmond. It's a good matchup. I know he's got West Coast this week. I'd still be trading. I'd still be fine to trade him and go him down and go Briggs to English. But hey, if you don't want to, if you want to go someone down, then that's fine. But yeah, I would probably still trade Wilmot. Max Boston, what do you think about Lloyd to Himmelberg and DC to Anderson? I don't mind the Lloyd to Himmelberg if you can go someone up, but I wouldn't be doing to Anderson because Toot Miller's back this week, so I would be looking at someone else there. But yeah. I would also probably want to be going Lloyd up to someone, but if that's what facilitates the DC up to a primo mid, then I'd do it. Chris Paul, who stays out of Wilmot or Seamus Mitchell? I think Seamus Mitchell stays. He's got the better role. But then again, if that extra cash on Mitchell gets you to a better player, I think you can trade Seamus Mitchell first. So I think it probably just depends. If you can get the same player, it's probably Wilmot. But if you can get a better player with getting rid of Mitchell, it's probably Mitchell out first. Brendan, or do I keep Briggs and upgrade Day to Doc? If you can go Day to Doc and keep Briggs and you can't do it any other way, then you can do it. I would probably still rather do Briggs English if you can get it done. Jack Wilson, with my previous trade, is it better to go Harrison out to some 200k rookies he won't hold his spot in Collingwood's team? Yeah, I'd rather get rid of him than Chesser, that's for sure. So yeah, if you can go Harrison down to someone cheaper, I'd do that. Baxter, Yo to Chesser, 5 to Keys. Yeah, I don't mind them. Yep. If Chesser's not on your field, if he's on your bench, yeah, I would do that. And then the final one here, J, AFL MTB, could I trade Hobbs for Keys? You could. If you think Keys can be top 6 forward, I think you can. Yeah, you can do it, yeah. DJ Brack, yeah, 5 to Keys for me. Yep, I like that trade. I'd be locking that in. Great move there. Beautiful. All right, well, that's probably where we're going to cut it. We went for obviously quite long tonight, actually, but it was all good. It was a good chat with JD and Jords there, so make sure you go and subscribe to Jords FTTV on YouTube and follow all the stuff at Fantasy Take TV and follow the guys on Twitter as well. Great Twitter space and chat with those guys. I'll be back tomorrow for the round review. I know we've got 35 watching, so people can probably let me know. I normally upload the video at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, right? Would anyone like it later at is 6 p.m. better for people to watch it the premiere then and watch it then, or is 5 p.m. still the preferred time? Because I sort of want to know. I've been doing 5 p.m., but the numbers sort of have fluctuated and they've probably decreased a bit more than maybe what I might have anticipated. But I don't know if that's because 5 p.m. is maybe too early because people are sort of still making their way home. So yeah, if people want it later, an hour later at 6 p.m, or if they're still happy with 5 p.m, let me know in the comments below or the live chat here if you're watching live, because I'll be interested. So, Chris Paul, cheers, Buzz. Have a good night. Thanks, Chris, mate. Jack Wilson, thanks, Buzz. Appreciate you, Jack. Thanks, mate. And then Bex there says, hand pink waving, trophy yellow smiling. It just says, it's coming up with the name. So I appreciate the emoji. I just don't know why it doesn't come with the emoji, but hey. Oliver, 5 p.m. is fine for me. If people want it still 5 p.m, I'll keep it there. But yeah, I'll be back for that tomorrow. And yeah, then trade talk. Unfortunately, there won't be any watch-alongs for the next couple of weeks. I missed the one last night. Apologies. I fell asleep having a nap. But there won't be any watch-alongs the next couple of weeks, I don't think, because I'll be in Perth. I just think it's going to be a bit difficult for me to do watch-alongs while I'm away. So, yeah, it'll probably just be the trade talk and the round reviews. It will still come out, and then the usual Twitter space and stuff. But yeah, Brendan Dawson, Bont, Tom Green, Sarong, Brayshaw, Crouch, Oliver Merritt. Not sure Led is actually a top 8 mid. Oh, Led's top 8 mid. Dawson's a top 6 defender. I wouldn't be putting Dawson in the top, in the midfield. He's a top 8 mid if he was just a straight mid, but I'd be putting him elsewhere. But I agree with the other names there. I'd probably have Led in with those 7 there. But yeah, so anyway, I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the round review. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you do leave a like on the video. If we can get this video to, I think we had near 50 likes actually for the last one. But if we can get 30 likes on here, that'd be very, very much appreciated. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Have we hit 1,200 yet? We were 2 away. No, we're still 2 away. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. We're 2 subscribers away from 1,200. So that'd be fantastic if we can reach that tonight or even tomorrow. That'd be fantastic. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Social media in the description below, all links to all those, so make sure you can follow me across all the socials. Turn notifications on so don't miss when I go live or upload any other content in the future. I think it'll also notify you when the video is going to premiere as well. So make sure you do turn the little bell on so you know when I'm live or uploading content. So appreciate you guys as always, and yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow night for the my team round review. So thanks guys, and catch you then. So I'm out. Cheers.